Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This month's presentation, I'm super excited about. It is talking about the healing power of art, where our presenter is Aimee Olivo. She is the CEO of Artworks Now. Artworks Now is a nonprofit organization located in Hyattsville. Their mission is to build and nurture community through inclusive visual arts and social justice experiences. So we can join Aimee, and we were supposed to have Monique with us as well, the Senior Director of Programming, but she was unable to join us today. And this is going to be a fantastic webinar talking about ways we can support mental health through art. A little bit about Aimee. She's incredibly proud to serve as Artworks Now's second executive director. She's a passionate community builder and advocate for equality and social justice. Thank you for joining us, Aimee.
Thank you so much, Jess, and thank you to everybody with the Children's Mental Health Matters campaign across the state and all of our guests today for joining us. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here to talk about art and the healing power of art. This is just a little bit more about us here at Artworks Now in Hyattsville, Maryland. We are a nonprofit. You can see here our vision, our mission. We're really proud of our guiding values, which lead everything that we do: compassion, equity, inclusion, integrity, and joy. You saw the front of our building there in the first slide. We're located in Hyattsville, Maryland. We have 7 full-time staff, and as Jess said, I'm so sorry that Monique Buckman, our Senior Director of Programs, is not able to join us today. We contract with lots of teaching artists to offer art classes and art experiences for all ages, from 2 through 102. We have a really robust summer camp program, which we're gearing up for right now. We host a lot of schools out or in camps. So we will be hosting kids from Prince George's County Public Schools next week who are on spring break, and lots more. So please check out our website to learn more about what we do. So what I wanted to share today is, if you do any sort of Google searches whatsoever, you will find just all kinds of research about the way that art, creating art, thinking about art, participating in art has a really strong impact on your brain, on your central nervous system. And of course, as you all know, as practitioners or parents, or just human beings, our central nervous system has so much to do with our mental health. So this is a really terrific book. It's very dense, Your Brain on Art. And I just pulled out a couple. I could have talked for an hour about the science between art and your brain and body, but I just pulled out a couple quotes. This one I loved. They did the science, the research, the near infrared spectroscopy. I'm not even sure what that is exactly, but the simple act of doodling increases your blood flow and triggers feelings of pleasure and reward. I think a lot of us, when we think of art, we might not even think of doodling as art, but it is. Anything that you're doing that is creative is part of art. And then, of course, there's so much evidence as well about the importance for children. In art, we think children, naturally dance, they sing, they play make-believe, they role play. They're really natural artists. And it's so important for children to be exposed and be encouraged in the arts because they're really developing those neural pathways and strengthening them through their participation in the arts. I'm sure this is stuff a lot of you know. And again, there's just so much scientific background about that, but I just wanted to share a few things. And then finally, and I think this, as adults, this is so important for us all to remember. So in the book, Your Brain on Art, they talk about heart training, healing and education through the arts. If that's something you're interested in, I strongly recommend kind of picking up the book and or finding more about this very specific training. But the idea is, and I loved this example of, in this training, they're training adults, right? And so the trainer draws 2 cats. One kind of looks like a cat and one is just scribbles, right? And which one is better? The answer is neither. They're both wonderful. because they're both cats, and they're cats because I told you they're cats, because I drew and designed them. The important thing here, I think, again, especially for us as adults, to remember that all art is good. It's about the process and not about the end product. And so as we're working with children, I think so many of us have probably had the experience of a child holding up a drawing of scribbles and them telling us what it is. And we're so proud of them. And we go right along with that. Oh, okay, that's a cat and in a farm. And, even though it doesn't look anything like that, but we're so much harder on ourselves as we get older about that. And I want to just encourage all of you as, again, parents and practitioners and adults to just give yourself that same freedom to know that it's about the process and not the product, and that all art is good art. So in line with that, what I want to do next is share several really easy and accessible ways that you could work with children, that you could work with adults, that you yourself could engage in art and creativity. So if you're sitting at a desk, or you have your laptop, if you have a piece of paper, maybe it's even your work notebook. If you have a piece of paper and any sort of drawing utensil, grab it now. If you have a couple different colored pens, or maybe you happen to have a marker at your desk or where you're sitting right now, even if you only have a black ballpoint pen or a single pencil, that's totally okay. Um, use if you don't have a blank piece of paper, I would encourage you to draw over whatever piece of paper you have in front of you. This is a really fun exercise. It's called drawing lines to music. I was first introduced to it when I saw one of our teaching artists who actually works with older adults. She did this exercise with them to help them kind of um, start thinking outside of the box a little bit. Basically, all you need here is a piece of paper, a drawing implement, and some music. What you'll see, this particular artist, unfortunately, I don't have a video of our teaching artist performing this lesson, but I was able to find a YouTube video of someone else doing it. So you could certainly use this YouTube video. I know you'll have this link when you get the follow-up email, or you could just put on a radio station. You could put on a CD, anything that you have accessible to just some kind of music. And so I want you all just to please participate in this activity. It's about 4 minutes long, and I think it's really fun. So I think there's a short little ad when I go to the link, so that'll give you an extra second to grab your paper and your drawing implement.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Cowmore, and welcome to Art at Home, where we're bringing you your art lessons to your home. Today, we're going to be drawing different types of lines in response to listening to music. So if you hear fast music, you might do lots of fast, jagged lines. If you hear happy, swirly music, you might do lots of swirly lines. So I'm going to have a play and demonstrate, and you can use the music from the video, or you can find your own music at home and you can draw along with that. So it's lots of fun, and we want to fill our page with as much line as we can. So all you'll need is some paper and some coloured pencils or crayons or textures. So if you get those supplies, and then you can watch what I do and copy along or do your own version. Have fun.
We don't hear any sound.
I apologize for that. It sounds like you guys aren't hearing the sound of the music. So we'll just stop this exercise. I'm so sorry. We did a tech run beforehand, but I guess we didn't I don't know what happened. So I'll give you a brief overview. You can probably tell now you're seeing her paper very, very full of lines and scribbles. So if you can imagine kind of the looping sounds were kind of quieter, more rhythmic music. There got to be some hard percussion in the music. And again, I'm sorry that we can't do it right here, but you'll get this link when you get the follow-up presentation, and so you can do it on your own then. The idea is you're just really connecting the sounds and the syncopation and the rhythm that you're hearing in the music with lines or dots and scribbles on your page. And with so many things in art, the idea is to just kind of come out of yourself for a few minutes and stop thinking that this has to be perfect or this has to be great. And who knows, you might be really proud of the end product that you come up with on the page. So again, I'm sorry that didn't quite work. You weren't hearing the music, but it's a really fun exercise. It's a really fun exercise to do as an adult and also with children. And they come up with really creative ways to express that music on paper. So another example that I wanted to share of working with children and engaging with art that is something that's really simple that you can do at home, or, again, in your practice with kids. We're all, I think, a little overwhelmed perhaps with the number of cardboard boxes that we have at our homes or our places of business, from all of the things that we have shipped. And I cannot tell you the joy, if you're not aware or if you haven't played with a cardboard box in a while, the joy that comes from children in playing with cardboard boxes. As simple as you can see, the kids on the left side, those are just boxes that have been opened up. And if I recall correctly, these kids were like playing almost like a whack-a-mole type game. They were crouching down in the box and then popping up and then jumping with the box and then crouching down and popping up again and just laughing and laughing and laughing. Zuri on the right she's in the process of making a robot out of some boxes that she has taped together. Another really fun way to use cardboard with kids is to go ahead in advance and cut it up into strips. It's a little hard. It's cutting cardboard. Well, I guess if you wanted to practice your motor skills, you could have the kids do it. It can be a little difficult though, because it's very thick. But cutting the cardboard up into strips and then allowing them to manipulate it by rolling it or ripping it apart so that they're accessing that texture in the middle of the two smooth pieces of cardboard. That's another really fun way. You don't even necessarily have to have glue or tape for that. And you'd be amazed at the ways that they curve and fold the cardboard to just really enjoy those textures and the really creative things that they come up with. Another really accessible way to engage kids in art is simply through sidewalk chalk. I know here in Prince George's County, one of the activities that our Prince George's County Children's Mental Health Matters group leads every year is a sidewalk chalk activity, asking kids to either come together to a location to create sidewalk chalk or to just do it in front of their own home or at their school. Sidewalk chalk is relatively inexpensive. It washes away after the rain and is just a really great way to engage children in art making. Adults too, although it does involve crouching and or sitting on the ground most of the time. So that's sometimes a little harder. But just here are some examples of times that we've had kids just go wild with chalk art here at our building. And then another, just again, really accessible way for you to engage children in art is one of our favorite mediums here at Artworks Now is Model Magic. Play-Doh would also be, a good alternative to that. Model Magic does actually dry. It'll dry hard and solid. Play-Doh dries out, but Model Magic is just a really fun way. You can also engage kids when you're doing Model Magic to, as you can see on the left, create monsters. It's a good way for them sometimes to create something that maybe is a little scary to them, but make it fun with different colors. It sometimes can be a great tool as well in working with families. We've had great sessions where families work together and they build their favorite foods out of Model Magic. So I've seen really cool spaghetti and meatballs or tacos or, all kinds of different foods that families make together out of Model Magic. And then I hope and imagine that when they're perhaps eating those foods later, they're remembering the fun time that they had together creating art. And again, like with so many other things, the Model Magic is so great for children with their, their fine motor control. They're rolling and pinching and doing all kinds of fun stuff. You can see on the right, our young artist there added googly eyes to some of her creations, which of course just makes them even more fun. So that's just another really accessible way that you can engage children with art. The final, I don't have a slide for, but we'll send it out, is of course coloring pages. Adults everyone of all ages enjoys coloring. And so at Artworks Now, I guess about 2 years ago, we commissioned a 9-year-old artist, then 9-year-old artist, to create a coloring page with our tagline, which is create the world you imagine. And so when Mackenzie sends the follow-up email to everyone, she'll include that coloring page as well. So print it out as many times as you would like. It's nice to maybe just have at your desk or have there for any kids that are in your life to do coloring pages. So we spent some time talking about really accessible ways to engage the children in your life in art. But again, as I know here on the call, we mostly, I think probably all adults. And I really, really want to emphasize to each of you, you are caring for others, whether that's because you're a mental health practitioner, whether you're a parent, whether you're a friend, a daughter, a son, a child, a neighbor. And it's so important. And I just really want to emphasize it's so important to all of you, to all of us, to really care for ourselves as well. And one of the ways that you can do that is through art. This is just a reminder, art is not just for the professionals. It is for all of us. If you remember that earlier slide, it's all about the process and not the end product. So I'm now going to talk about some of the work that we do with older adults at Artworks. And I hope that that is also meaningful again to you. So, sorry, I flipped too far. One of our big programs here at Artworks, we do a lot of work with kids, but we also are just so proud to have a creative aging program. So we offer free art classes to older adults ages 55 and above at our building and also virtually. We started this by partnering with the city of Hyattsville, and it has just grown and exploded from there. Last year, we offered 6 or more classes in each of our seasons. We do four seasons of programming a year. We touched more than 300 older adults last year, 100% free. For those who take our virtual classes, we actually mail them the art kit for everything that they will need with their classes. Sorry. These are just a few of the quotes that we've gotten from participants about what this has meant to them. as you can see, they talk about this program literally saving their lives. They talk about it as expanding their community at a time when it was diminishing, about reigniting their joy. And while these certainly are quotes from older adults, I think that these same quotes could be shared from anyone who is participating in an art class here or anywhere else, or even those simple activities that we shared earlier. So I'm hoping that this video works and that you'll be able to hear the sound. So please let me know if you're not. But this is a video about one of our creative aging students, Rosella Cantiletsum. I will note that this video was created prior to the pandemic. So just a few things kind of, changed after this video was taken. But I think it is a really important message to all of us that we need to indulge and give time for art throughout our entire lives, not just as children.
When you write, your tone influences how readers respond.
Sorry.
With Grammarly, just highlight your text and type how.
I was never an artist. I've always practiced law or taught law school or done some things like that. I have 2 daughters who do not want me to grow old, and they insisted that I get out and do things. Because I move slower, I just have to take my time. So it does take me a little bit longer to get out of the house. Artworks Now was created in order to provide access for everyone to creative activities and creative education.
Rosella is part of our fastest growing population. For the first time in US history, older adults are projected to outnumber youth by 2035, but it's also our most underserved population.
One of the things that we've noticed is that there are multitudes of programs for toddlers and school-age children. That's a beautiful thing. What became really clear to me a couple of years ago was that there weren't very many programs for older adults.
Once a week, Artworks Now's Creative Aging program provides completely free, hands-on art classes for older adults through a partnership with the city of Hyattsville.
When I first heard about Artworks Now, I didn't know what I didn't know what it was going to be. But I said, why not? Why not try something new? And I just said, whoa, do what you want. And it's okay. Nobody's questioning it. There's no right or wrong to it.
Some have always been artists. Others are just rediscovering their childhood creativity.
If you go into our studio while our older adults are working, there is a focused quiet, and it's the flow. The thing about it is it gives you a chance to explore, to experiment. Everyone encourages you. They tell you, well, I really like that. You say, really? You really like this? They say, yeah, look at that. That social connection is what sort of sparks some of that health and well-being. The second piece of it that's crucial is the skills-based learning. Is feeding your brain, it's feeding your mind, and you're learning and you're creating new neural pathways, and your synapses are firing and you're engaged, which then there's a release of hormones and dopamine, and there's all these things that happen, then you have joy. I mean, you come in here hurting, and a lot of people come in here in pain, but they make it to class because they know that they're going to get something from it.
The benefits to people and cities are real. Older adults involved in creative programs reported fewer doctor visits, fewer falls, higher motivation scores, less depression, and an overall increase in physical and mental health, according to a study by Dr. Gene Cohen.
Making art is really vulnerable. The key to how we do this is it's about creating a safe space to be vulnerable. It's really through that vulnerability that you get to yourself and you get to the work that will matter to you. One of the things I'm most proud of is one of the first pieces I made, which was my self-portrait. What impressed me is that it really, in my opinion, captured me. It really did. And I said, wow, it captured who I am.
Inspired by their current partnership with the city of Hyattsville, Artworks Now is participating in a cohort with the National Guild for Community Art Education and Lifetime Arts, designing their creative aging program, which will pilot in the fall of 2019. In 2020, the program will expand to sites around Prince George's County, bringing the transformative power of art making to more county residents and more emerging artists like Rosella.
Everything about what we do is about removing obstacles to access. And so what's needed is the funding to make sure that these programs are free. For someone on a fixed income, spending another $20 a week to take an art class, no matter how much you value it, it just may make it not possible.
Now that looks good. I like that. When I finish my work, what I do is I give my projects to my daughters because I used to have my refrigerator covered with all of their work. And so now they own their own home and they need to have some of their mother's work in their home. That's our portraits up here. Wow. I love it. I just love this. So far, I think this is my masterpiece. That's what I think.
So thank you for indulging me in sharing that video. I think you also heard about, again, some of that science behind what art does to your body. And it doesn't just do it for older adults, it does it for all of us, the dopamine and the hormones and, all of that. So what I would like to do now is 2 exercises to really engage your creativity. Again, I know this is about, children's mental health, but there's no way that you can pour into others if you haven't, if you're not full already. And so I hope you'll join me. Luckily, these 2 exercises don't involve YouTube or music, so we should be all set. So this is a really fun book, the 30-Day Creativity Challenge. And we have at various times offered this as a class, Creativity Boot Camp. And the idea is just quick exercises every day to really engage your own creativity. So this first one, this is from day 1 in the book. It's a 10-minute challenge. I don't know that we'll necessarily take 10 minutes. We'll take 3 or 4 minutes here, and then you can keep going after this webinar if you would like. But I love how they open this. Lots of people think creativity is just coming up with ideas out of nothing. Well, that's kind of true. All creative ideas have to come from somewhere. So they come from things, concepts, or ideas that already exist, but that you think about in new or unexpected ways. So the first challenge is to take an everyday item. So in this case, a bucket. And to think, just jot down, use that same, your work notebook or whatever piece of paper you have in front of you, and take a couple minutes and just start writing down everything you can do with a bucket. And, maybe the first one is going to be watering plants or carrying things. And that's totally fine. But the goal is to kind of just get more and more ridiculous. So the example they have here is a paperweight. Crazy, but a bucket could in fact serve as a paperweight. So just take a couple minutes and just jot down. We're not going to ask people to share. If you want to, you can put in the chat kind of what you think is your craziest thing. I'm just going to look at my phone here. So my phone says it's noon. So we'll just go until about 12:02. And just, jot down everything you can come up with that you could possibly use a bucket for. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes, so hopefully you got crazier and crazier as things went on. If anybody has just a really fun out of the box idea that they'd like to put in the chat, go ahead and do that, but no pressure to do so. But I hope, you might have started out thinking, I don't know, what can you use a bucket for? And then just getting more and more creative as you went. And feel free to come back to this. Who knows, next week, if you make your bucket list, you might just come up with all kinds of different exciting and fun ideas for a bucket. And then our next just exercise for yourself to push your own creativity. This comes from day 3 of the book. Again, you need a piece of paper and some sort of writing utensil. And this goes back to the idea of it being the process, not the end product. So the idea here is to do something in a very specific way. So we're going to take each of these ideas, a stick man, an apple, a skyscraper, a sunset, a virus, a bus stop. You could even, if you do this on your own at home, challenge yourself with other ideas. But the idea is that you're going to take your writing implement, put it down on the paper, and draw these without lifting your writing implement from the paper. Do these in a single line. And I guarantee, I mean, unless someone on this call is some sort of world famous artist, they're going to look ridiculous. They just are. That's all there is to it. But if you think the idea is you're starting to think about kind of the outlines of this, what it'll look like. Maybe the idea is don't think too much. Again, we'll just take a couple minutes. I'll just talk a little bit more about this. So sometimes putting limits on ourselves as well helps to increase our creativity. So the limit here is you can't lift your writing implement from the paper. So what does that mean? And how do you think? So with the stick man, for example, does that mean that you start with the head, or does that mean that you start with the feet? With a sunset, what does that mean? What does a sunset look like in just lines, not color? So we're not adding color to this. We're just, well, unless maybe you're using a colored marker for your single line. But what does that mean? What would a sunset look like that's just made out of lines? Would anybody recognize it if you showed it to them? Would they say, "Oh, that's a lovely sunset that you drew"? Or wouldn't they? But it doesn't matter, because like the tabby cat drawing in the beginning, if you say it's a sunset, then it is a sunset. So I'll just stop talking and give you about 1 more minute to work. And again, this is really normally like a 10-minute exercise. But I just wanted to get you all started on really kind of thinking outside of the box and engaging your own creativity. Great. So feel free to keep doodling while I just wrap up the presentation, and then we can go into questions and answers. So I know that sometimes often art supplies can be very expensive. My goal with the examples shown earlier were to share ideas for how to make art with things that are fairly inexpensive. So cardboard boxes, chalk, Play-Doh, or Model Magic. But we here at Artworks, this this started during kind of the COVID lockdown times. We have a shed in front of our building here in Hyattsville. It's like a little free library for art supplies. So people often drop off art supplies, and we stock it as well with art supplies. It's open 24/7, 365, and you are welcome to come and take whatever you would like. I hope no one will come and clean the whole thing out, but if you need that for your class or a large group of folks, then, you know, go for it, and we will restock it, and more people will come and donate supplies. So feel free to come to our building anytime and help yourself to art supplies, or if you have a stash of art supplies that have been in your closet, and you just know you're never going to get to, and you want to give them a good second life, feel free to drop them off as well. And then I just would encourage you to join our email list, visit or like and follow our social media on Facebook and Instagram at Artworks Now. We're also always open to ideas and new partnerships as well. And so please reach out to me directly. I realize I don't have my email on here, but it's Aimee, which is AIMEE at artworksnow.org. And maybe we can include that as well when the team sends this out as a follow-up. So that's all I have for today, and I'm happy to answer questions or engage in a chat if anybody would like.
Anyone have questions for Aimee?
Everyone will be receiving a recording of the webinar afterwards, along with to answer Jennifer's question, along with some of the resources and information that Aimee talked about, like the coloring page and some of the YouTube videos.
Yes. Well, if there are no questions for Aimee, thank you so much, Aimee, for sharing what you did today. I've already got a few projects in my mind lined up to work on. And we want to thank all of you for joining us here today. As Jess said, you will receive a follow-up email with a link to the recording of this presentation, as well as a survey where we'll be asking for your feedback on how we can continually improve these webinars and bring fun and interesting topics to you. We invite you to join us for next month's webinar, Thursday, April the 18th from 11:30 to 12:30, for supporting your emotionally dysregulated ASD child. That will be hosted by Dr. Antonia Gerard. If you are not already, we invite you to become champions for the 2024 Children's Mental Health Matters campaign. You can learn more about what it means to be a champion and to advocate for the mental well-being of children in your communities. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us here at info@cmhm.mhamd.org. And you will see some of those links in the chat, and as well, we will follow up with you. So we want to thank you all once again for joining us, and we hope to see you next month. Thanks again, Aimee.
Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed it.